y'all? What's good? Welcome back to the channel. Usually, punctual with these types of things, but I was at work earlier today, so I'm bringing it to y'all now. One of these days, man, I'm gonna get in front of this camera and not be saying I had to, come home from work to do this video, to do one of these videos. One day, maybe not soon, but one day we will get there. But anyways, OG Anunoby traded to the New York Knicks, seemingly out of nowhere, bro, literally. For RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley. I want to say, yeah, they got a 2024 second-round pick via the Detroit Pistons in this deal as well. Malachi Flynn and Achiuwa are also coming over alongside OG Anunoby for RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley. Initially, it was just reported that it was, RJ and Quickley for OG, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But, those other two guys being a part of the trade, bro, definitely makes it a lot better, especially Precious coming in with Mitchell Robinson having to miss. I want to say he's out for the rest of the season. That's huge for them, having a backup big for Isaiah Hartenstein, who honestly is not a starting caliber center, but that it is what it is. In the absence of Mitchell Robinson, he has to fill that role. Woj tweeted out, New York has been pursuing Anunoby for a significant period of time and now gets a head start on recruiting him to stay as a free agent in the summer. Anunoby's two-way talent has made him a target throughout the league, and now he lands in the Knicks lineup. I think that is huge for the Knicks. I think it's actually perfect, a perfect place for OG Anunoby to land. Outside of maybe the Sacramento Kings would have been nice. I would have loved to see him possibly on my Thunder. We already have, defenders with Chet and Lou Dort and J-Dub, but man, just another guy there would have been, pretty solid too. We could have gave up Josh Giddey. Maybe I don't know how they would have made that work, but he's in New York, and like I said, I feel like that's very perfect. You got Jalen Brunson, who's not a slouch on the defensive end, on the perimeter. Obviously, Josh Hart is a pest. Donte DiVincenzo. Now you bring in a guy of OG Anunoby's caliber, who is one of the revered as one of the best two-way players in the entire league. That's literally perfect. And then you put him under the tutelage of Tom Thibodeau. Yeah, it's about to get real competitive out there in New York. You thought they was a physical, defensive, beat you up kind of team before. They really about to get like that, because they have a guy who is such a beast on the defensive end. Obviously, the stats don't jump out on the page like a Rudy Gobert with the blocks, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with damn near 3 steals a night. But on any given night, you can put him on any team's best offensive player, and he's going to, for lack of better terms, contain them for the most part. Not every game is perfect. Not everybody can just, lock up a player and keep him scoreless. But for the most part, he's going to do his job locking down the best offensive player on the opposing team. Another reason this is very, very big for them, bro, is you just add more championship DNA to this roster. I know it's not NBA caliber championship when you talk about the Villanova boys and Josh Hart, Donte DiVincenzo, and Jalen Brunson, but a championship is a championship nonetheless. Having especially in the March Madness atmosphere, where it's a one-game elimination, win or go home every game, they're built for that. And you can see that in Jalen Brunson. You can see that in the way that Donte DiVincenzo just hustles. You can see that in the way that Josh Hart attacks every play. Adding another guy with been there, done that type of deep playoff run, and secured, the actual highest praise in the basketball realm professionally, American-wise. That's just huge for them, bro. Although this is his lowest points per game average since 2019-2020 at just 15 a night. He could be a very, very valuable third option to JB and Julius Randle. He's shooting 37% from deep on about 6 attempts per game. That'll really, really come in and handy for Julius Randle on those drive and kick opportunities. And like I mentioned earlier, Tom Thibodeau is really going to like having OG Anunoby in the lineup because he's not a high maintenance guy and he doesn't need the ball to be effective, but on the defensive end, he's going to bring it every single night. Especially alongside Josh Hart, bro. I really cannot wait to see that. Him, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson. I want to see that lineup. I want to see how much they can muck up the momentum and just get physical out there with the other teams, bro. I really want to see that lineup in action. And then for the Toronto Raptors, like I said, they got back Immanuel Quickley and Maple Mamba. Nobody call him that shit, man. Nobody calls him Maple Mamba. That's his nickname on Basketball Reference. RJ Barrett, he's shooting 42% from the field on about 15 attempts per night, 33% from downtown on just over 18 points per game this year. This is pretty much the RJ Barrett that we've been accustomed to seeing for the past 2-3 seasons now. Outside of his sophomore season where he shot 40% from deep, he's always been a below average three-point shooter, but he can catch rhythm seemingly out of nowhere and hit you with 4 or 5 threes in a game. That's most likely not the case. We haven't seen it but twice this season, maybe twice, but he does show flashes often of all-star caliber type skill and play that, you know, maybe he could be something more than just a third option down the line in his career. And that's maybe why Knicks fans were so high on him, although we haven't really seen much improvement statistically or even visually. You can really see he hasn't really improved much. Obviously, he has taken steps in the right directions in very other different ways than, you know, shooting, mostly shooting, but the projection on him was really high as well, being a teammate of Zion coming out of Duke, being the 3rd overall pick going to the New York Knicks, who this was their first lottery pick, like high lottery pick in a while. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot riding on that, and I in my opinion, I would say he lived up to the hype. Although he never made an All-Star game in New York. He never averaged over 20 points per game in New York. Handling, you know, the stardom and the pressure, everything that was stacked on his shoulders, being the 3rd overall pick, a teammate of Zion coming out of Duke, you know, looked at as a guy that maybe could potentially get the keys to the franchise one day. Handling all that the way that he did and performing so stable, so to speak, consistently. I really tip my hat to RJ Barrett and his tenure in New York. Although, like I said, it wasn't the greatest, and you know, a lot of people have been calling for him to get traded. I tip my hat to him, man. Then, last but not least, Immanuel Quickley is the last player we're going to discuss. This was my front runner for 6th Man of the Year about a month ago when we did that awards video. And he's been holding steady, pretty steady ever since. Last time we spoke, he played 20 games, averaging 24 minutes. He's now up to 30 games, still averaging 24 minutes, still averaging 15 points a game, 2.5 assists, 2.6 rebounds. It dropped from 3 assists and 3 rebounds. But he did go up in field goal percentage by 3. His 3-point percentage went up by 3, and his free throw percentage dropped by 2. But yeah, like I said, he's really holding steady, and he's put up a dub in his last four of his last 6 games, and he's really shooting the 3-ball really well, extremely well, 50% on 17 of 34, to be exact. So he's pretty much on a heater, if you want to call it that, heading into Toronto. For the value that Quickley holds off of the bench, and you know how steady of a player RJ has been that we just discussed throughout his career from a statistical perspective, I say this was a decent trade for both sides, man. Not great, but decent. I'll grade it a C+. I gave it a C+, and here are my reasons why. Number one is this is clearly just part one of multiple trades that are about to happen coming out of Toronto. So we're going to see a lot of player movement over the next couple weeks in Canada. So this trade here doesn't give them any direction over as to what they're trying to accomplish and be as an organization. They're just getting younger, stockpiling out assets, so to speak. But it doesn't really give you hope that they'll make the playoffs. This doesn't really push you to being a contender for a title. Like I said, playoffs is most important. Like, first, you got to make the playoffs to get to the championship. So we just got to wait and see what comes out of all of this. Secondly, the reason I graded it a C+ is Immanuel Quickley will be a free agent this coming summer, 2024. He will be, I want to say, an unrestricted free agent. Okay, so he will be a restricted free agent. So they will be able to bring him back by matching whatever deal is thrown at him. But, I mean, they'll still be able to bring him back. He's restricted. So it's not that big of a deal. So initially when I put this together, I was like, they could just lose him for nothing. But, he's a quality player to have on a playoff caliber team. So if they can bring him back, I say by all means do so, because of off of your bench, if that's the role you want him to play, you got nothing to lose. Grading the move for the Knicks though, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give that a B+ or an A-. It could go either way, and here's my thoughts on that one. This could backfire in the long run if OG, for whatever reason, decides he doesn't want to be in New York this coming off season. Then they just lost 2 key players for seemingly a season of OG, if you want to count the playoff games that they might play. But he could be the missing piece in that second round offensively that could, possibly get them into a conference finals when that time comes, be a difference maker. If they lose though, and he does decide he doesn't want to be there, then it was literally all for nothing. That would be my B+ grade. The A- would be because of the fact that he does have the deep playoff experience that I mentioned earlier, the championship DNA, and he can be the glue when the going gets tough in April. He hit one of the biggest shots of his career in the playoffs. I want to say, yeah, it was definitely in a bubble. 0.5 seconds. I'll never forget. Cross court overhead pass from Kyle Lowry in the corner. I don't remember who he hit it over, but he knocked down a 3-point shot with 0.5 seconds to win the game. That was possibly the biggest shot of his career, trying to repeat the success that they had in the previous season, winning the championship. So he's had moments throughout his career where you're like, damn, OG is, he's hooping. I don't think he's never really had a 40-point game or nothing like that, nothing crazy, but he's no slouch on the offensive end. And with Brunson averaging nearly 26, Julius Randle averaging just over 23 a game, I'm sure we could see him get up to 18 and replace RJ Barrett's scoring load. We've seen him score 17 a game, so 18 wouldn't be that big of a stretch. But I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna stop rambling. Let me know what y'all think about the trades. Like I said, this is just move number 1 for the Toronto Raptors. I'm pretty sure Pascal Siakam is next one out the door, and Scotty Barnes will be safe. But with that being said, bro, I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Hopefully it's a Pascal trade, because, man, I want to say this is the first official trade of the season, bro, and it's about to get exciting. January 15th is right around the corner. That's when a lot of dudes is going to be able to have their contracts moved, so we about to be hearing a lot of rumors and seeing a lot of movement. But like I said, I'm going to catch you on the next one. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, enjoy basketball, you know what I mean? I'm going to catch y'all. Peace.